Hello everyone, this is Sherwin here from TechOS, and today I'm going to be giving you my full review of the iPad Pro now that I've been using it for 2 months. The iPad Pro is Apple's new 12.9-inch iPad, which is meant to make work and creativity tasks easier, with enhancements to increase your productivity. Before we get started though, let's take a look at the different pricing configurations that the iPad comes in. It starts at £679 for a 32GB Wi-Fi only model. There's a 128GB Wi-Fi only model for £799 and a Wi-Fi plus 4G model with 128GB of storage for £899. This iPad is available to order in gold, silver and space grey, with no rose gold colour option available in the iPad ranges this year. If you want to see any of the US pricing, then do look in the description of the video. With the cellular or 4G models, you can either have an Apple SIM, which lets you choose a carrier plan within the settings app, or do as I've done here and purchase it directly from your carrier of choice, in my case Vodafone here in the UK. The design of this iPad is very similar to that of iPads from the past few years, with the diamond cut chamfered edges and rounded corners that make the iPad feel very premium and comfortable to hold, even at such a large size. You'll also notice that there's a new connector on the side, which Apple are calling the Smart Connector. This is a new way of connecting third-party keyboards, as well as Apple's own one, which are being made specifically for the iPad Pro. This connector carries both data and power, so there's no need to charge the keyboard or connect to it via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. The screen on the front is a lovely 12.9-inch Retina display with a resolution of 2732 by 2048. It has a 78% larger surface area than the iPad Air 2, and the display is very bright and vivid, with colours really popping out, especially with such a large panel. Once again, as with a few previous iPads, the display is laminated directly to the cover glass, which definitely helps deliver the crispiness that you get whilst consuming media, particularly photos and videos. Another inherited feature on the iPad is an anti-reflective coating, which makes outdoor viewing particularly brilliant, something which is very important on a tablet this large. The bigger display makes great use of the new multitasking features in iOS 9, such as slide over, split screen mode, and the picture-in-picture view. It lets you run 2 full portrait iPad Air-sized apps simultaneously whilst watching a picture-in-picture video, and with 4GB of RAM, everything still runs incredibly smoothly. The iPad Pro is powered by an A9X chip clocked at 2.25 GHz, which powers it all, and it also contains the new M9 coprocessor. For some reason though, unlike the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus, you can't command Siri wirelessly without being connected to power, despite the presence of the M9 chip. The iPad Pro is by far the most powerful iOS device made by Apple to date, and it actually outperforms the new 12-inch MacBook that was released at the beginning of last year. You can edit 3 streams of 4K video in iMovie, and if you want to check out what the final product's like, check out one of my videos edited on it in the video description below. The camera on the iPad Pro is the same 8MP iSight camera found on the iPad Air 2. Images are clear, with colours coming out very nicely in most conditions. Even when challenging the iPad's exposure settings, it delivers very well, and indoor shots are also nice, provided that you have enough light in the scene. You also don't get any bad effects which we normally see when over-processing images occur, which is credit that goes to the A9X chip. Despite the great quality, especially for a tablet, photography and video in low light is not great, but livable with, especially when indoors, where images and video tend to look slightly grainy. Video is recorded in 1080p HD at 30 frames per second, and there is autofocus, but it's not continuous, so you'll need to tap the screen to focus if you change your shot whilst recording. The front-facing 1.2MP 1080p camera is very nice for FaceTime calls. Now let's talk about the 2 main new features of the iPad Pro, starting with the new 4-speaker audio system. The iPad Pro has 1 speaker positioned on each corner of the device. This means that sound quality is absolutely brilliant and is very loud and clear. It's very easy to hear at lower volumes, and as you make the volume louder, sound can actually get so loud that it has the ability to fill a whole room with an ample amount of sound, beating the quality of some laptops on the market. Next, I'm going to talk about performance, which is one factor that really sets this iPad apart from previous models. The best way to experience the performance on the new iPad Pro is by playing high-end graphically intensive games like Nova 3. Splash screens load really quickly in comparison to the iPad Air 2, and gameplay is incredibly smooth, although this is the same case for the iPad Air 2. Hop into Asphalt 8 and you'll see the same level of high-end performance, which is incredibly impressive for a tablet with no sort of cooling system or dedicated graphics processor, powering such a large Retina display, which has more pixels than a 15-inch MacBook Pro with a Retina display. Now I'm going to talk about general day-to-day usage, which is obviously a very important part of a Pro device. Apps open very quickly, almost instantly in most cases, and web pages are very quick to load, as this iPad has 802.11ac Wi-Fi built in, with dual antennae and MIMO technology. I haven't seen any noticeable lag, but at times, when there has been the occasional app crash, it's been more the fault of the software than the actual iPad itself. Although many people have complained about the battery having the potential to be better, I can't say that it's any worse than my iPad Air 2. I can easily use it for a whole day without having to plug in, even whilst using CAD modelling software and being connected to 4G, not Wi-Fi, for the whole day. That said, on days when I'm at home and connected to Wi-Fi at all times, I have managed to go for a whole weekend without charging, whilst watching lots of video and FaceTiming people. Finally, to round off this review, I'll talk about just a couple of negatives of this iPad and just talk about who it's for. The first negative for some people is that at high volumes, the iPad does tend to vibrate quite noticeably. I actually like this, but some people won't, although this is also a problem that can be found in the iPad Air 2. Also, the iPad has 4 speakers, but you can sometimes block a couple of them, particularly when holding the device for gaming or watching video. Despite this though, the iPad does intelligently send more sound to the top 2 speakers, depending on the rotation of the device, so the issue isn't really that bad. So, who is this iPad for? Well, if you're a professional iPad user who requires all-day battery life with amazing performance in a thin and light form factor, then this may be the tablet for you. If you're only going to use the iPad for light web browsing and catching up on emails, then maybe you should go with an iPad Air 2 or iPad Mini 4, which are still very good tablets. Creativity users should also consider the iPad Pro, especially with accessories like the Apple Pencil, but in the end, it really is up to you. That's it for this review. If you have any questions or comments on the iPad Pro, then leave a comment on this video or get in contact with me using the details that will be in the description of the video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.